Welcome to another edition of From the Front Lines. How real estate managers are addressing COVID-19. Our topic today is updating your standard operating procedures. I'm here with Leo Turley, Chief Executive Officer of H2 National, an executive search firm that provides recruiting services to the real estate industry nationwide. So Leo, regarding this new normal we're in, there seem to be some significant impacts to companies' standard operating procedures. Let's talk through some of those. First, greeting other people. Is the handshake a thing of the past?
Well, I think we're all thinking about life and how it may look going forward. I think all of us are sitting with some disbelief, some level of disbelief of is it real and when are we going to wake up? What is life going to look like? What will remain the same and what will change? Accept it or not, there will be a new life model, how we live life, a new business model, how we conduct business. And greeting is a good first topic because when we encounter somebody, that's the first thing that we have to decide. How will we acknowledge them or greet them? And we ask ourselves, will the handshake and should the handshake tradition change for our industry and all Americans so that we minimize the chances that we'll ever have to encounter something like this again? Well, some quick research of the internet and viewing of the news may suggest that the elbow bump might be the replacement for the handshake. There are health officials, government officials, as well as many others are being seen greeting each other with an elbow bump. And I noticed there was a news reporter that said that she believed that the elbow bumps seemed to be catching on as the go-to greeting. So as it relates to operating procedures, I think everybody's going to be pulling out their policy and procedure handbook. Supervisors, HR professionals, and the greeting policy may need to be a new policy in that handbook. The wording and the delivery is going to be important so as to emphasize the importance of refraining from touch, meaning two hands shaking as opposed to two elbows touching. In the scenario of elbows touching, there could be times when one or both of the individuals are wearing long sleeve shirts. No matter the circumstance, the elbow bump seems to be the safer greeting. And I think that the policy change should start out as a strong recommendation and let some time pass until it's likely to become the socially accepted norm. I don't think that violating the greeting policy should have a disciplinary action attached to it other than maybe a simple and quiet verbal reminder of its importance when someone is seen shaking one's hand. So those are my thoughts on greeting. That's probably the number one thing that is on people's minds going forward is how do we acknowledge each other and greet and do that warmly.
Should companies be more liberal on sick leave policies?
Well, when you say that, I think what we are saying as a society, should we be more liberal to encourage those who are sick to stay at home? It may be prudent to consider providing employees with paid leave. I've been reading comments on the internet, and some are thinking 10 days, while others are thinking up to 14 days for those diagnosed with coronavirus or put it on or in mandatory quarantine by officials. The policy and procedure language here should be stronger than the language for the greeting policy, I believe. We all must see the gravity. This may be the time to reinstitute what many of us grew up with, the doctor's excuse. Our policies may need to include the step of a doctor's excuse to have an approved absence from work, and a doctor's excuse may be needed to return to work. Then the expectations would be clear on what needs to happen if the circumstances arise. This single policy here, what we're talking about, may set minds at ease that everyone is doing their part at work to prevent the spread of a threatening illness.
What about virtual integration? How can companies continue to forge new ground here?
Now, this is an area that I'm sure that many IT experts would, in our world, would like to chime in on, because they've been busy for the past 4 to 6 weeks. For some companies, when this happened, it was as easy as telling employees to take their laptops home because they were going to be working from home. For others, it was a complete scramble to put together the necessary hardware and software and educate employees on how to connect from home. And I think the questions that we're asking ourselves is, are we prepared to work from home as a country? What technologies are appropriate to complete this task? Working from home involves some quick adaptation to be able to duplicate one's ability to be as productive at home as in the office. So everybody knows in these days, in this time, one must have a computer at home and at work, or be provided with a laptop. For verbal communication, a software-based voice over IP phone system is likely needed. That can be easily loaded onto a computer, and that way it can double the computer as a phone as well. And then last but not least, one must have a reliable provider of cable internet service so that that service is capable of moving voice and data. So we do need to have that in place in order to go to this virtual environment that we're all experiencing right now.
Speaking of going virtual, is it time to go paperless altogether?
Oh my, I think so. If not already involved in transitioning to this world of a paperless environment, it's a great time to go paperless. Accessibility to all and easy transfer of information is why it makes sense. I'm not an IT expert, but I know that it begins with some of the basics. It really depends on the individual's role, what you need at home, but people should think about probably these following things, whether or not they need them in their role. A scanning capability, an e-signature tool, paperless billing, and then a cloud network drive like Dropbox or Google Drive or Jungle Disk that makes the documents available on every electronic device. So those are the basics, and these items are needed in a traditional office workplace, and they're not bad to have for the home workplace for 2 reasons: for convenience, and should circumstances like this present themselves, we're all ready to go again.
And how would you recommend that companies formalize and communicate all of these policies?
I think everyone has to have in mind right up front, and we've had plenty of time during this period that we're all at home, to think about these policies or procedures or new customs. But we should have in mind what we want to accomplish and communicate as a supervisor or a human resource professional, and then begin to include everyone in on the conversation to describe the importance of revisiting the company's policy and procedure manual. The intention would be to set expectations and improve guidelines to create a safe workplace for everyone. And then I think everyone's manual, it will read a little different, but the theme will be the same: safety and security for everyone.
Leo, any other advice for real estate managers or company leaders at this time?
I think that we should all take sympathy and empathy to a new level. We should be flexible and patient with each other. There are a lot of things that we're all going to have to get used to. And we should take life and the new lifestyle guidelines seriously, because we are learning, if we didn't learn it before, that life is fragile and precious. So I think flexibility and patience probably ought to be at the forefront.
Very much so. Thank you so much for your time, Leo. Please continue to visit iRoam.org, where you'll find our page dedicated to providing updates and resources to support real estate managers in making informed decisions during this time. That's irem.org.